Hello, Monsignor Gray coming to you here at St. Thomas. Here it's the vigil before Pentecost. And so we're about to celebrate Pentecost Mass. And we have good news because in just a week we will have the opportunity to return to Mass. So beginning Trinity Sunday, beginning June 6th and 7th, then we'll be able to return to our regular practice of Mass. For people who are coming to receive communion today, or also for people coming back to Mass, just a few things to go over. One of them is that as people come forward for communion, we'll try to leave the Crescent Drive area open for people who need to remain in their cars. So if people can do that, I know that's appreciated. Also, of course, if to avoid contact, people are welcome to use the automatic doors. And so if people need to do that, so they can do that without having to touch the doors. And if possible, then we can also leave some of the doors propped open as well. So if we have doors propped open, that also means that people can come and go without having to have any physical contact with the doors. So it's just a little safety procedure that is there. We just remind people that there is a certain amount of risk that people assume, and so there is just some encouragement then for people, especially to be cautious, to safeguard your own health. People who are sick should not come to Mass. People who might be older or at risk are dispensed, and so you do not have to come to Mass. So when we do start, this is for people who wish to do so. We just encourage people to remain safe. So when people come in, there'll also be places where the hand sanitizer will be available. So we want to make sure that we provide for that. We encourage people to wear masks, especially when you are in close proximity to other people. So, and we'll have some additional masks as well that are available, as well as sometimes when people need to dispose of things, that we have garbage bins available. So that way things can be easily discarded. It just helps to avoid cluttering and provides for just the safe disposal of any items. So here's something that you haven't seen in a while. Here's a physical bulletin. So you can pick up, people can pick up bulletins. So in those, of course, people can take their own bulletin with them. So that way they don't have contact with other people. So when we look at some of the other things that are here, also then we get to the pews themselves. So again, doors are open, so that way there's no, so people aren't touching door handles that they don't need to. And then in the pews themselves, in kind of a staggered pattern, we'll have things marked off to encourage people not to sit in a particular pew. And so as we go up the pews, so people can come in one side and the other, so there's kind of a staggered pattern. So that keeps people physically separated from one another, from one pew to the next. And then of course we want people to maintain the same sort of safe separation as they, within the same pew. Family members, of course, can sit together. So you've already seen each other's germs, so you don't have to worry about that. So families can sit together, but people not living in the same household, we encourage them to stay separate. Here's another thing that will be a little different. So the baskets that we have, we will not be passing the basket at offertory time. So instead, baskets will just stay in the back of the church, and people can drop their contributions there. The ushers will periodically take one of the baskets away to make sure that the money is deposited in the safe and then replace it with another basket. So they'll just be stationary baskets, nothing that will be passed from hand to hand. The other thing is, you look down the aisle, there's no gift table. So there won't be any gift table in the aisle. There isn't one now, and we won't put one out this weekend. So that'll be another item, just so there's not handling of the cruets or of the ciboria that are brought forward. So they'll just simply be in the sanctuary. Then as we continue on with Mass, so there will not be a sign of peace. When we get to the sign of peace, that is an optional rite, so we'll just bypass that, and it'll just be one less opportunity for people to have physical contact with each other. So here's also the sanctuary, as people kind of want to see how things are progressing. So the flooring is about half done, and they still have the other half of the flooring to do, the back half, but you can tell what that looks like. And also there'll be another piece of marble. There'll be green marble, and they have a couple samples of it right here that will go vertically in each step. So there'll be a little bit of green that you'll see. You'll see kind of a row of the green marble that will be in front of each of those steps as well. So it'll be a lovely accent that's there. You can tell what a nice job they did in terms of trying to match the style of marble with what we already had, with the altar, with the pulpit, and then also with the tabernacle as well. So here in the sanctuary itself, of course, here's your here's your movie camera stand. So this is where the camera is actually situated, so that way we can move it around. So when people are watching the Mass itself, they won't actually see this, but this is what we're using to support the camera itself. Then when we get to some of the other things that you see here, as far as the Mass itself, we won't have any chalices on the altar except for the main chalice. So we won't distribute communion under both species. That will just be communion under one species for the time being. And again, that's just a safety thing. I think one of the things, and it's not just simply the passing of the cup or of the drinking from the common cup, but I think sometimes even having people touching that same cup. So one person's hand passing the cup back and forth with the minister, and of course that's an opportunity for germs to be passed. So it's just another little safety measure that we take as we take a look back throughout from the entire church itself. The other thing I would say also about communion is that when distributing communion, we're going to encourage people to have no physical contact with the priest or deacon or minister who's distributing. So as communion is distributed, so the host will be held over your hand, so that way it can be placed into your hand and released, but without there being any contact from one hand to the next. So we're going to encourage people, there's no touching any part of any person, no physical contact hand to hand. And so that's just, again, another precaution that people are taking. If people happen to be here and are nervous about coming forward, when communion time comes, we do encourage people, again, to maintain a certain distance, just for safety and security, put everyone at ease. But those who do not wish to do so are perfectly free also to make a spiritual communion. So that's a prayer I'll put in the description to this video below, that if people would like to have that, it's a way that if they're not receiving communion themselves, still an opportunity for them to be able to unite themselves in a spiritual sense with our Lord. So the other thing as we get closer to this weekend is that people are welcome to come and pray in the church. They're welcome to come and receive communion, so as we see the Blessed Sacrament before us as well. And so if people would like, this weekend, I'll be recording a Mass for the vigil of Pentecost. I'll be recording Mass here in the church at 5. So people are welcome to come at 5:30. And from 5:30 to 6, we'll distribute communion. And then the following day, there is a different Mass with different readings for Pentecost Sunday, so separate from the vigil. So again, I'll record that Mass, Pentecost tomorrow, Sunday. I'll record that at 9 a.m. And then people can come and receive communion from 9:30 until 11 o'clock. So there's a larger window, and that seemed to work out well last Sunday as we tried that. Then, of course, as we get back to Trinity Sunday, the following Sunday, then we'll be back to really a regular schedule. We still are going to encourage people to spread out. So that may limit the number of people that we can have physically in the church area. So we'll also make sure that if people wish to also spread out and have seating in the gathering space in the narthex, or if they want to even sit and attend Mass, listen to Mass even in the chapel, people can spread out as much as they want to make sure that everyone is safe. But we'll be back to at least a regular schedule for Trinity Sunday. So that's June 6th and 7th. Some things about Mass might be a little different. We might just keep things a little bit simpler. We'll still, I think, be recording at least some of our Masses so that people who cannot come can still watch videos. So since I figured there'll be some people coming back and others who might want to take their time, be a little patient. Of course, everyone continues to be dispensed, so there's no need to rush back, especially if you might be in a condition that's at risk. So all good news, and we look forward to welcoming people back. It'll be good to have the church filled with people once again, to have more people here as we look forward to returning to not only receiving the Eucharist, but also celebrating the Mass together.